Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sustainepreneur Podcast, episode 12, where we talk about how sustainable business is not the only answer, just a big part of it. This one's going to be a bit longer, but I couldn't leave anything out, so stick around. Welcome back to another episode of Sustainepreneur Podcast, where we are bridging the gap between business and sustainability. We want to educate and motivate sustainepreneurs by discussing important topics, debating different perspectives, and by showcasing those of you out there who are doing it right now. I'm your host, Nate Hansen, and we're glad to have you with us. So let's get started. You know, it's easy to get caught up in supporting something you believe in so much, especially when you're a known advocate of it. But the truth is, from time to time, we can all get pigeonholed into following something to the point of slight delusion. It is then that sometimes we need to be humbled. And that's what this episode's all about. Because the truth is, sustainable business is not the whole answer. It's only part of it. And to even go a step further, it falls dead last on the list. I have a 10-step guide toward a sustainable future, and sustainable business is 10th. But with true sustainability in mind, we sustainepreneurs dive deep into our work, fully well knowing this. Because with that, step 10 is really a two-sided step. Because what we also know is that if we start a sustainable business and change industry standards to sustainable ones, it will have far greater impact on the world than we ever could have had just staying on our own 50 by 150 foot lot. So I wanted to jump into that list today. But before we do, I need to tell you how these steps are kind of laid out. It's really like two phases of steps. The first phase has 4 steps, and they lay the foundation for sustainability. They're steps that are continuous and can be done at any point or every point in the process and are never ending. So here we go. Let's start with the first 4. Step 1, you got to work on yourself. This is truly the most important part of sustainable living. Because if we're not of sound mind, body, and soul, we can't be entirely effective. And we certainly won't understand the big why of it all, which are the motivators in pursuing sustainability. Practicing mindfulness, whether it be through meditation or prayer, nature walks, listening to a good song, spending time with family, and a great many other things. Daydreaming can be considered mindfulness. But then there's the other side of it. We still have to exercise too. That's the body part. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just do something. Because the body fuels the mind. But you got to make it fun, or it'll be short-lived. Like for me, dancing and nature walks are 2 of my most favorite ways to exercise, and I do both of them whenever I get a chance. But working on yourself is the most critical and crucial step toward becoming more sustainably minded. Step 2, donate your time to sustainable causes. Volunteering isn't that hard, and we usually end up with easier tasks to do than any of the paid staff anyway. Not only that, but it's a chance for us to get out and meet other people who care about the same things we do. And as far as I'm concerned, volunteering for just about anything is adding to sustainability because most of the things that you'd volunteer in a community for are for good causes, whether it be social or environmental. Step 3, donate money towards sustainable causes. Now, some people have a hard time doing this and hate to do it, which is why volunteering comes first. It's usually easier to do. But some people have more money than time. And donating money is just as powerful as donating time. And it doesn't have to come in the form of a donation either. Invest in sustainability. There are plenty of options out there nowadays with things like sustainable markets, green funds, there's clean tech incubators out there. I mean, the choices are abundant. And they're doing better overall than most traditional investment portfolios. Step 4, one of my favorites, is to keep learning and keep teaching. No matter what we learn in life, it doesn't mean diddly squat if we're not passing that information along. One little tip though, please give everything a positive twist. Because we all know people out there who would only teach what has let them down in life. Even if it's saying something like, I learned a lot from that experience, there's always a positive side. We should all end each lesson with an uplifting message to instill hope in our pupils, not leave them distraught. Okay, now that we've covered the foundational steps, we're going to get into the meat of it. Now, these steps are a step-by-step thought process that should be the way we all think about acquiring things. All right, here we go. Step 5, or step 1 of this series of steps, however you want to look at it, is the tried and true, good old-fashioned reduce. Remember that? Because we all have wants, but are they really needs? So first we have to ask ourselves, do I really need this? Or am I just looking for more stuff to stuff myself with? If I don't really need something, I try to talk myself out of wanting it. This can be tough to do, but it's one of the most sustainable processes we could ever take part in. Step 6 is, you guessed it, reuse. See, if I find that I actually do need something, I try to find it in something I can reuse again and again and again to eliminate waste. Instead of using paper towels, I try to dry my hands on my pant legs. They'll dry quick, trust me. Or I'll use a cloth towel. Whatever works. Step 7, if you were expecting recycle, sorry, not this step. No worries though, I'll talk about that later on. But as the saying goes, you can't recycle your way to sustainability. This step belongs to repurpose. Because if I can't reuse something in my house, I'll try to find something that could take its place. So if I can't find a good place to dump the grease in my frying pan, I'll repurpose an old pickle jar as a trap. Tasty, right? Step 8 is to try and find it used. We have tons of options out there these days. I mean, with thrift stores, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, etc., we can find just about anything our heart desires from what others have deemed no longer useful. Step 9 is almost part of step 7, but I choose to separate them because I believe this step embodies the great extent of creative possibilities. It's called upcycling. I love this step because it can ignite some pretty innovative and artistic creations. Many times we can reach way beyond what is in our homes to find ourselves being truly imaginative with everything we see when we're out and about. A simple fork can turn into a key rack or a business card holder. So it goes a lot further than just using an old mason jar as a drinking glass. I once made a podium out of a broken cabinet, an old school desk, and a pallet. I absolutely love this step. And then we finally get to step 10, sustainable business. I can hear a lot of our sustainepreneurs out there gritting their teeth thinking, What are you, crazy? It can't be the last step. Now don't worry, because it is, and then again it isn't. Because remember, I said that it's a two-sided step. There's the consumer side, and then there's the sustainepreneur side. After someone's gone through these steps on the consumer side, if they find themselves still needing to buy something brand new, then they should try and find it from the most sustainably minded company with the most sustainably minded product out there. But the flip side of this step 10 opens up a whole other discussion over the sustainepreneur perspective. Starting a sustainable business changes the list entirely. Want to know why? Well, I want to tell you, but I don't want to make this episode any longer than it already is. I promised myself I would never go over 10 minutes for a solo show, and I'm not doing so well with that rule so far. So I think I'm going to make this a two-part series. The next one I'm going to call, let's call it systemic versus personal change. That'll work. Because this just turned out to be way too long. So if you want to know why we can get away with a whole lot more being a sustainepreneur, tune in next time. Or better yet, I'll just release them both together because I'm already pumped on this topic. So I'll see you soon. That concludes our episode for today. As always, thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, share, rate, and subscribe. And we'll see you all again next time on Sustainepreneur Podcast, where we are bridging the gap between business and sustainability.